Hello Nigeria and hello Nigerians. It's that time again of true Nigerians, heroes of our time. I'm sure by my posture and what you can see in front of me, it means that this edition is different. Obviously, True Nigerians is where we get to bring you Nigerians that are worth emulating, Nigerians that are role models, Nigerians that are heroes of our time. Today, my guest is loaded. I don't know how to describe him. I'm just trying to be fast because there are so many things, you know. But you can see these books, I bought them myself. Let me show you. Let me first introduce it this way. Billionaire's Habits. I want to be rich, that's why I'm here. See the second one. Maximizing your real estate investments. He's an author of 35 books. This, by the way, is just a little, but these are the ones I bought and I'm reading right now. That's why my money is increasing. Becoming a billionaire. Billionaire Habits for Entrepreneurs. I'm not marketing, I'm just trying to help you because this works for me, so I want it to work for you too. See, billionaire. See? Not like this is the formula to get rid, billionaire codes. So if you want this code, I'm finished with this book right now. I'm on to Billionaire's Habits. This is where I am right now. Okay, I'm sure you already have an idea of who my guest is on the program. It took us a long time actually to get this guest because he's a very busy man, hardly in the country most of the time. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time on True Nigerians, Heroes of Our Time, my guest is Dr. Stephen Akintayo. Dr. Stephen Akintayo is the CEO, Akintayo Consulting International and GTEX Group Investment Limited. His chains of businesses are Okbo. We'll go there one by one. Nice to have you, sir.
Thank you very much. Now go there. I mean, recently I handed over as CEO of the GTEX Holdings. So we have a new CEO now. I'm the chairman. Okay. Of the company, so I'm not into day-to-day like, and I'm sure you know. Yes. I mean, you are one of our ambassadors, so yes. I'm sure you hardly see.
No wonder I've not even seen. Yeah. Okay, anyway, that you are taking me to one of our questions.
Yes.
Let's get there. You will explain when we get there. No problem. That was true. We are all Borno people, Maiduguri people, so we know, and he can speak Hausa too very well.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Our first and traditional question. I have so many questions to ask you. I can't wait. But our first and traditional question: what is your definition of a true Nigerian? How will you define a true Nigerian?
Very good question, actually. I think a true Nigerian, in my own definition, is somebody who has had a taste of, the six, at least the three major regions of the country, if not the six. Because part of why you see, bigotry statements by some people, tribal, divisionary statements, because if you check, they have not been able to live across the various regions. So if I'm a Yoruba man and I've lived most parts in Yoruba, I think Yoruba is the only thing that exists. If I'm an Hausa man, I've only lived in the north. I think the north is the only thing that exists. If I'm an Igbo man and I've only lived, in Igbo land, I think Igbo is the only thing that exists. But a true Nigerian has had a taste of all and understand why we really can't do without each other. And such people end up really appreciating that even though it's a British conjuncture that brought us together, but there's something divine about it, because every part of this nation has something unique that the other part doesn't have. Right? The Niger Delta has the oil that other parts don't really have. The Igbo man has the sense and the entrepreneurship skill that most other parts can't just see. Right? The Yoruba man has the, the professional demure of being a professor, being an accountant, being a this, being a, and really be chunking a lot of professionals. The Hausa man is feeding us, really, right? And understand politics. Okay? Very well. So everybody brings something to the table. So a real Nigerian understands all this.
Perfect. Nobody has actually defined it like this. That means you are also part of the people who are campaigning we should remove state of origin.
Absolutely.
Because most of the time when you
absolutely. I feel more like a northerner than a Yoruba man, because I spend more, as of today, I've spent more time in the north than I've spent in southwest. And so mentally, I am more, simplistic, compared to an average, people of my own tribe.
I don't you want to use Yoruba man.
Average Yoruba man. I'm more simplistic, as you find in the north. Of course, I don't appear like that, but when you come close, I'm very down to earth, and that's typical of an average Hausa man.
You are a Yoruba
right?
Hausa
And I'm
man.
very direct. A Yoruba man will want to yes, it's the truth, but you can sugarcoat it, you can trick the truth this way, you can go, you don't go direct, and that's how it gives it to you, right? So, so for me, I'll be excited to connect more with my Hausa heritage as well, because I spent a longer time there. So my point is, we should definitely allow people choose where they're born or where they live, not all this. My forefathers are from X, Y, Z, and you may not have connected with those so-called forefathers in the long term.
Now you see why I sing more in Hausa. Okay.
Yeah.
You are a huge inspiration to most people, especially given your humble beginning. When I read it, I was close to tears. Some of us think we have suffered. When I read your own, it's different. I used to say I have suffered because I used to be a dustbin boy, but I was working as a dustbin boy and they were paying me.
Yes.
Your own case, you even said poverty was your surname, hunger your greatest challenge, how you were scavenging for food throughout primary school. The one that really touched me is how when your mom has borrowed from too many people, when she goes to borrow money from people, the way they look at her as this one don't come again.
Don't come again.
Tell us. I want to hear it from you. I'm sure it would also inspire a lot of people who think now that because they are from a very poor home, they cannot make it. They look at the rich people and they give up. You can never make it. How did you? What was the push? What was the trick?
Very good question. So, first of all, I would say my father and mom were good, decent people. My dad was a building contractor. My mother was a civil servant with PACN. Boy used to be NEPA, and I think they are now called Jankos, or I don't know what's their new name now.
Yeah, I still call them NEPA.
And very good people. But before I was born, my dad's business had crumbled. He was apparently then. People from the southern parts were coming to the north to help them build, because a lot of the northerners then were not that educated. But over time, their own people too started knowing how to bid for contract, and so it became a thing of, we'd rather give it to somebody from our place than somebody who's not from our place. So that affected, and I think he didn't evolve. And it's still one of the secret of my hunger till today, because I saw that and I said to myself, my dad had evolved when things were changing, because he moved from being the most sought after building contractor, they were giving a lot of stuff to had nothing. By the time I was born, he wasn't responsible for financially taking care of the family. My mother, had to take care of 5 children. On a normal day, if we're not that large, she probably would have done okay. But because we're 5 children plus her husband, has to be taken care of, it became a whole lot. And so typically by the time tuition fee is due, she doesn't even have it, because she's, how you have borrowed and borrowed, and you're using this salary to pay the loan you took 3 months ago, and then that kind of thing. So you have to now go take a new loan to even cover new bills. And it was a very tough experience, because I used to be angry with her, because particularly when you have gone to reduce yourself, beg them for money, now they didn't give you. I would just be like, what's wrong? Why are we like this? See the way they are talking to you. And you know what was funny is that some of them she's going to are junior by ranking in the civil service. So you know how you feel like, but it's while you're junior and you're having to still go borrow from a junior, and mommy, no.
Very embarrassing.
Very, very. Of course, I was foolish, because she had no other choice. That was the only thing she could do. And I mean, if she had not gone through all of that, I wouldn't be here today, because she made sure education was primary for her. It was very important to her. And our argument was that she would have done better in her career if she had been a graduate, because in those days, with secondary school, you were good, and so she was like, you must be a graduate. If we were a graduate, because I used to ask her, why are we poor? So it was because I didn't go to university. If I had gone to university, my promotion would have been faster, and I'll have enough money to take care of you. Unfortunately, which is what I'm now putting in this book, she was wrong, because degree cannot guarantee wealth. Right? It cannot. There are 2 pathways to being wealthy. Either you're an entrepreneur or you're an investor. Right? Any other thing won't cut it. Even, and this is part of what your people in the entertainment industry don't know. Even being an entertainer is not entrepreneurship, really. It becomes entrepreneurship in its full sense, what we call business owner in what we call financial intelligence, when you don't need to run it for it to run. So what most entertainers do is called self-employment. Is the beginning phase of entrepreneurship. Right? That's why most entertainers, you hear, oh, they did a deal, they got 50 million. Right? Months later, the entertainer is begging for money. And you're wondering what happened. Because the rule says that until you're able to make money while sleeping, you can't be wealthy yet. So once is your effort that has to bring the money, you see the issue now, then you can't really become wealthy. So I even laugh when I see people want to die on their business. At some point, be ready to pull back, which is what I'm doing now. So it's okay, let other people run the business. Right? People will, of course, want to, they will cheat you. Yes, they have tendencies there, but put structure. Right? Let there be people to monitor, but begin to pull back. Now that you have the energy to intervene if anything goes wrong. Yet people don't do that. And that's why you see that even in our climb, you hardly, I go to America. In fact, I just returned from a farm I'm about to buy. 2,000 acres around Dallas, Texas. And then I met the farmer, young guy. But he was speaking, you know that this guy had an old soul. You know how you meet, and I'm like that as well. When I'm talking, you think, am I talking to a 70 or 80-year-old man? There's depth to it. So I was wondering, how come this guy is this deep? Not even for a white guy, very deep. Then we got to the farm, and then I met his father. And then while talking, the father said, their grandfather too. 3 generations of farmers. And they were not giving the history of the father used to have 1,000 plus. The son took over the business, now has over 12,000 acres that he farms on. They do commercial farming heavy. Like by the time the father handed over the business to him, and he's still working in the business, but the son cut the short. He handed over 1,000 acres of farmland to him. He took it to over 12,000. Right? You hardly find that in Africa. The reason is because, people don't early begin to say, can I have others begin to run this business? Can I have others begin to pull things?
They hold on to it for too long.
They hold on to it for too long. The same thing with our entertainers. Because I've argued and sometimes I even ask some, why is it that at some point entertainers haven't done well, they were famous, they were making money, begin to struggle at some point. And they will give me all manner of reasons, but I will just smile. The real reason is because you did not turn it to a business on time. See what Jay-Z is doing now. When last did he release an album? But he gets richer. Shouldn't that teach us a lesson? See what Tyler Perry is doing now. People don't know that Tyler Perry now released more movies. In fact, he has retired My Dear, which was a character around him. You see now, to producing movies with other different actors. Because that's really the pathway to wealth. Somebody will want to remain the actor. I'm the one acting the thing. Instead of knowing when to come back, become executive producer, turn it to a whole business, different people working. And that way, by the time you are passing on, you build a multi-billion-dollar corporation that can run even when you are not there. Because even while you are alive, people are running it.
I've learned a lot. Wow. Okay. Thank God. Well, I'm not totally out of place. I'm still. But I just wish I had had this much earlier. But it's not too late.
It's not too late. Absolutely, it's not too late.
Okay. My next question now. You've written more than 35 books. I know what it is to write one book. I've read some of your books, but there's this saying in Nigeria that if you want to hide anything, put it in from a black man, put it in a book. Nigerians don't read.
They don't.
How do you think we can change that?
Well,
and how does that make you feel as an author?
First of all, I'm grateful to God that I've been able to do all these bodies of work this early in life. I intend to even do 2 more for America. Now I do a lot more in American business, most times in the US. And so I'm writing 2 books for the US market, just addressing issues of wealth creation as it relates to America. I think to address that is that people like you who are known, I love what you just did now, because you don't know how powerful it is to say, I bought this book. It's not like this man dashed me, right? I was really impressed by that, right? But you are helping the psyche of people, right? You to say, hey, this is the pathway, right? We have to, the day you stop learning is the day you start dying.
True.
And that we have to build a culture, particularly because when it comes to subject of wealth, they don't teach in university. If they do, professors will be the richest people in the world. And professors are one of the poorest people. Right? That's why some of our professors have farms, have other side business that they even engage us to help them with and give us better grade because we're willing to come and help professors' side also. I had a professor like that. I used to engage me to come and help him with his side also. Right? And so it was because by just going to normal formal school is not how you learned wealth. To learn real wealth, you have to learn it informally. You have to connect with those who are wealthy and begin to ask questions. How did you do it? What were the steps? What were the principles? And many of them have then put those things in a book, right? Unfortunately, many won't read it. But the reason why people don't read is also because we haven't pushed the culture of telling people that, hey, it's okay to read. I'm a celebrity, I'm reading. I'm a rich man, I'm reading. I'm a this, I'm reading. I'm a king, I'm reading. When people start looking at their role models, talk about the fact that reading is important, they are reading. I mean, it becomes a culture. If you look at in Dubai, for example, the Sheikh of Dubai, Al Maktoum, literally has his poems as authored books, talks about all of that. So he's intentionally, psychologically telling his people, it's okay to write. It's okay to author books. It's okay to read books. So that culture will begin when we start, making the concept of reading a mainstream conversation.
Especially from famous people.
Exactly.
Yeah, just like you said.
Yeah.
Well, me, I've been reading, it's just that yours are very good. They are not that big. Some books, when you look at some books,
It's intimidating.
like, this can be one book,
Yes, I know.
So such books, no, I don't know them. But this is good, And then the writing is clear.
It's easy to read.
It's easy to read. It's big and all that. So, okay. Real estate. You are huge with real estate, and you are very successful. I've had my own bad experiences with real estate people. So I have before I met you, I have a bad impression about anybody that is into real estate because they have duped me like 5 times.
Really?
Yes, I have evidence. In fact, I was planning I'm going to start mentioning the names of the companies. I bought like 5 different duplexes in Abuja. Wow. And up to today, some are in court, about 3 in court. The other ones, they are still telling me stories every day. So when you talk about anything real estate, I have an impression. But when I was invited to be an ambassador of GTEx, and I went through your biography and everything, and the way you spoke and everything, I knew that, okay, this is original. But the business also comes with a lot of challenges.
It does.
Most especially, you may be the head, but the ones down there might not be trustworthy.
True.
And then the issue of also government and government policies. How were you able to be honest in, should I say, I don't want to call it a dirty business, a business that is associated with being fraudulent, or a business that can be used because I'm saying based on my own experience. How are you able to stay honest? Because obviously you are a very honest man. I've seen that in different ways, how you relate to people. So because most people think you cannot be honest in real estate or property business and make it. How were you able to be honest and still succeed nationally and internationally?
Well, very good question. I think by the time we started, the industry was already messed up. So we came in, part of why we decided to start development 9 years ago was to sanitize the system. And the first thing I felt we needed to do was to be more transparent. Because the challenge of the sector are, I can say that there are many, but let me categorize them in 3 ways. You have the challenges of pure lack of integrity on part of developers. You have challenges where it is unintentional, right? It's situational. I'll give you an example. We know the story of one of the resorts here in Lagos where the man has CFO, he has all the permits to do what he did, and they still came to demolish it. The question is, what do you want the man to say to his investors? Right? How can the investors believe him that it was not his fault that what happened to him? Right? And of course, you also then have the third version of the challenges, which has to do with not being able to communicate, right? Which is also another problem. So you see, sometimes people are not able to communicate and educate people to say, this is the challenges here, this is the issue with our industry, this is what this means, this is what that is. And for me, I think it's all combination of this. So first step we felt we needed to do was to start educating people. So I did a lot of videos on land banking. What are the land challenges? What is the meaning of title? What are the various titles? What do they mean? You know, for example, people overrate C of O, and they don't even know that C of O is actually turning your land from freehold, forever owning it, to lease with government.
Wow.
Right? They don't know.
That's strange.
Yes. Because every land is ancestral. All of us have ancestral land. It's been owned by our forefathers even before Nigeria was created. Right? So, 1970 something, a law was passed, Land Use Act. Say all land belongs to governor. The governor can wake up and say, I own this land, and that the governor now needs to give you one document. It's the same thing the British used when they colonized all over the world, by the way. The British will come and say, you know what, sign this document that we now own your land. And that we are now the one that will now be issuing you a document giving you rights to the land you originally own. Right? So the same thing was introduced to Nigeria. To say all lands now belong to the governor.
Systematically admitting that is not your land.
Yes. Then all land now belong to the governor. So when I hear people say, CFO, and what does the CFO mean? It means the governor now says, I give you rights to this land for 99 years. So 99 years is I come back to me.
That's true.
And so you say, hey, does the land have CFO? It doesn't have CFO. Like, right? So when we started breaking down and demystifying this thing, like, really? Oh, I get it.
This country needs unity. We need peace.
I'm all for renegotiating the terms of our coexistence. We have to renegotiate it.
The youth have been misguided, unfortunately. You know?
I like my country. I like the land and people.
Hey, look, I have 40% shares in this company. So if I had known that you...
Judges are either corrupted or they are afraid of giving judgment.
There's no stopping us.
No stopping.
But government requires more revenue to make sure that these initiatives...
Give us a better Nigeria! Give us a better...
Youth are the vehicles of change. The youth are the answer.